Hey there, TBD listeners. Before we start the show, I want to let you know about a story coming up a little later. It's from one of our partners, SAP. AI comes at you fast. If you don't get reliable and relevant advice, your business might miss out. Whether you're looking to automate tasks or embed AI in your business processes, SAP can help. To learn more, head to sap.com/AI and stick around for expert advice on how to embrace AI with confidence.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Last Saturday night, Washington Post reporter Drew Harwell was out to dinner when he started getting messages that something had happened at a Trump rally. Drew covers tech, and he opened up X on his phone to try to figure out what was going on.
I saw the first photos that had kind of the bloody ear, but it wasn't really clear exactly what had happened, how severe it was, and kind of trying to figure it out from just this, fire hose of tweets and X posts and clips. It was just kind of like maddening. So after a couple of minutes, I just went to a news site, actually got all the information I needed. But I was just sort of, everybody was kind of like had their hair on fire from this one instance. And it was really hard kind of to figure out what was true and what was just people making it up.
Theories started circulating maybe even from the moment this happened. But I wonder, as someone who covers this, when you went online, what stood out to you?
The conspiracy theories were stewing on both sides. For people who were Trump supporters, they were seeing this, scary incident and questioning, how could this happen? This must have been an inside job. This must have been a setup. But you also saw on the other side, people who were not Trump supporters were saying, this is ludicrous. This is all staged. What if he had a ketchup packet in his pocket?
It turns out that the internet, like nature, abhors a vacuum.
I think about it like a supply and demand issue. The supply of real information in the first hours after a big news event is so low. We just don't know what happened, right? There's journalists on the scene, but even they don't know what happened.
Into that void step hundreds, if not thousands, of theories. And even now, they're still going. Some mainstream, some very much not. Like each of us has become a cable news correspondent, repeating what we saw, even if there's not much new information.
It's just like the cable news chyron, except it's like everybody's trying to put out their own chyron of the information, and they're trying to contort it and distort it so people are sharing their chyron instead of other people's.
On the one hand, this is the social media age. We should be prepared for this. But on the other, content moderation looks a lot different in 2024. And the speed with which a lie can travel on the internet, especially when the stakes are this high, should give us all pause.
There was a photo that showed all the Secret Service agents who, again, were whisking Trump off stage. They were smiling too. And the photo looked really legitimate. I only really could tell that it was BS because we had all seen videos, right, of them like very quickly, escorting him off stage, rushing him into the SUV. And so we could know it was BS, but so many people were sharing these things. These photos were getting like millions of views. And, for every like one comment of somebody saying, wait, this isn't real. Like I saw the source image like an hour ago. This is totally bogus. There were a lot of people saying like, oh yeah, of course this proves that it was all staged. Like these photos don't have to fool everybody 100% of the time to be effective, right? They just have to hit that emotion in their audience to really kind of get that political impact.
Today on the show, this isn't 2016 or even 2020. The social media guardrails are off. Welcome to the conspiracy theory election. I'm Lizzie O'Leary, and you're listening to What Next TBD, a show about technology, power, and how the future will be determined. Stick around.
This podcast is brought to you by Slate Studios and SAP. AI is moving so fast. If you don't get reliable and relevant advice, your business might miss out. Welcome to Dear Artie, an advice column from SAP, where we tackle the tricky questions at the intersection of AI and business. Here's our expert, the technology futurist, Ian Kahn.
Hi, I'm excited to dive into today's question.
Dear Artie, the supply chain has been a friend and foe to my company. Can AI make us more resilient? Signed, Supply Chained to Uncertainty.
Hey Supply, here's how AI in the supply chain can help. AI can massively automate data analytics and understand the movement of your goods. AI can point out weak links, market demand trends, optimal logistics, and other important aspects that impact the top and bottom lines for the business. Take the example of a large grocery chain that has hundreds of vendors spread through the country. In some cases, you may need to reroute shipments to other stores, such as in the case of fresh produce, a good that can go bad very fast. Managing such a supply chain is heavily dependent on the data provided, and AI can help optimize this information so that your supply chain works at its optimal levels.
Embrace AI with confidence. Head to sap.com/AI to learn more.
Have you heard about Doublenomics? It's okay if you haven't. It's extremely niche and practiced by Discover. Here's an example. Discover automatically doubles the cashback earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. That means with Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. It pays to Discover. See terms at discover.com/creditcard. In past elections, even very recent ones, social media companies invested deeply in content moderation. But now, through ownership changes and a series of deliberate choices, the internet is a poster's paradise.
There was a span of time that was, maybe 6 to 8 years, I guess, certainly around 2016 and the years after, when the platforms they would at least try. Sometimes they were aggressive, but they would at least try to really moderate content like this. They would see a bunch of people spamming, a certain hashtag or spamming a piece of content or photo, and they would try and moderate it. They would employ people to watch the trending topics list. We've had a big change in that. On the platform level, there's been a couple different explanations. One, you look at Twitter, which is now called X, its owner, Elon Musk. So he specifically has said, I don't want to moderate because moderating is against free speech, which is his argument. But, so X was, from my view, from spending hours on this stuff, X was by far the main platform for people trying to lie to other people. It was just loaded with bogus, BS, garbage. There's even been some research that found 5% of the content about this stuff that was actually wrong had a note appended to it saying actually this was false. So, stuff was just going rampant there, totally unchecked. In the past, Twitter at least feigned to have some moderating capability. But then you look at somebody like Facebook and Instagram, where they don't have an Elon Musk at the wheel, but they have their own reasons for sort of taking a step back. The executives feel like, we tried this. It was expensive to moderate. We were getting yelled at for moderating too much. We were spending time and resources elevating news, content, and current events, and nobody liked us for it. And so now we're just basically going to sort of wave our, just kind of shrug our shoulders and let it go.
Has that increased post January 6th?
It has, actually. I mean, so January 6th was a really terrible event. We saw how much of it was egged on by social media. We had this Jan 6 committee in Washington that basically laid out how central social media was to the problems there. And after that, there were definitely some moves like taking down QAnon posts and that kind of thing. But just in the years since, you've seen some kind of superficial moves from the platforms. And you kind of do have to distinguish between an X where it's basically malicious dismissal of, a desire for wanting correct content just because of Elon Musk's personality, and something like Meta where they just feel like logistically they would rather focus their attention on building audience, getting creators, making something like Threads that's really popular for fashion and, celebrity news, but just totally backing off of current events. And so in the middle are just, kind of normal people who are going onto these platforms and really not getting that moderated environment anymore.
Okay, let's talk about the powerful people, not all of them named Elon, who were amplifying and in some cases, like stirring the pot here. What is going on with your power users who were running with not entirely accurate narratives?
I guess we'll start with Elon. I mean, Elon very quickly after the shooting said he endorsed Trump. He was replying and sharing some stuff that was totally not supported. And in one piece that I can remember, he basically, called out the Secret Service, which again was not perfect. We are still trying to figure out how they messed this up so badly. But he said, either this was just a giant mess up or it was deliberate. And he was starting to kind of, give energy to this growing conspiracy theory that the Secret Service had stood down because they wanted Trump to get hurt, basically. He is somebody who has, 180 million followers or something like that. His posts are basically algorithmically implanted onto everybody's feeds just by the virtue of him owning the joint. And so everybody was seeing that. And, again, that coupled with the trending topics and, with people trying to reply to him, sort of supporting that, it helped really juice that idea. But beyond Elon, I mean, on the right, you had, people like Roger Stone, longtime Trump confidant, a big following all of his own, like Trump, is big on social media, who was not just sort of buying into some of these, conspiracy theories, but actually like sharing names. Like he gave a specific name and photo of this guy who he said like, yeah, this is the guy, this was the shooter. And he shared a news story that had the names and photos of these guys who had been like, they were anti-Trump protesters who had been arrested at a rally like years ago. And I don't know where he got these names from, but of course, they were totally wrong. I mean, they were totally different from the person law enforcement has identified. And yet he was basically, summoning a mob to like attack these people by name based off nothing. And for a while, even the name of that misidentified man was trending on Twitter. But then on the left, I also have to say there's been a rise of what my colleague Taylor Lorenz called Blue Anon. These are people who, are on the left who evoke this conspiratorial view on the news in some of the same ways as QAnon was on the right, where they feel like, Trump is also this secret mastermind and, we're buying into a lot of these conspiracy theories and that the media is in on it to take down Biden and that Trump is just, really getting one over on us. And so, kind of on that Blue Anon side, you had a lot of these, I would say like left-wing kind of liberal influencers who were sharing a lot of stuff about, again, that this event was staged, that in some ways the media was in on it, that this was all to, take attention away or, really lock in Trump as not just the nominee, but as like the president and win the election for him. And so you just saw a bunch of like muck. It just kind of showed that conspiracy theories are not a single partisan phenomenon. Anybody can buy into them because, they make us feel good.
Well, there's also this crossover effect, right? It is not just fringe people posting wild theories or memes. Michael Steele, former chair of the Republican National Committee, now MSNBC talking head, basically went on TV and questioned the ear wound, where it feels like there's some portal has opened between conspiracy world and real life, and we don't know how to close it.
Part of this is, there's a lack of trust in the media. There's kind of a questioning among a lot of people in the public that are we getting the full story? Is the media paying attention to the things we want them to pay attention to? Are they asking all the right questions? Are they being too tough on our side? And both sides, quote unquote, will say that. And so there's a finite amount of information about an event like this, and our demand for it in a social media age oftentimes feels infinite. And so you have people who have these giant platforms who, are sometimes influencers or sometimes politicians or celebrities or whatnot, who are seeing all the same information as us. They have access to all the same information as us, but they're perceiving it in different ways. They're sharing it in different ways. And they're using their platforms to share just bogus stuff. And it's really hard to fact check claims like this because these conspiracy theories, as we know, they morph, they evolve over time. They take on lives of their own to where any new piece of information or news can be either applied to that theory to kind of like give it an extra wrinkle that, again, validates it, or it can just be totally dismissed.
When we come back, everything is a meme now.
This episode is brought to you by SAP. First, the bad news. SAP Business AI won't help you generate cubist versions of your family's holiday photos. But it will help you understand which supplier is best to help you roll out your plant-based packaging in Southeast Asia, identify the training your junior project manager needs to rise up the ranks, and automate repetitive tasks while you focus on big innovations. So you can be ready for the next opportunity. Revolutionary technology. Real-world results. That's SAP Business AI.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Where does the memification of processing events fit into this picture? Because there is a way in the kind of modern internet parlance that we, the big we, go through the world now where, lol, nothing matters, everything's a meme. A person got shot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like the real news of it is extremely serious and scary. Just scary to think about the context of, what could happen in the country around it. But then again, we process these news events in this modern time through memes, right? Basically, we share memes in group chats. We share them on social media. We talk about them with the people in our lives we care about. I don't think that's always a bad thing, right? Like news is complicated. The world is complicated. Memes help us process the world in a way that makes them not so scary. But to your point, there was this online, people sometimes call it like black pilled, where it's like kind of quasi-nihilist, nothing matters, joke about everything, that you did see applied to this, right? And, on social media, there are no limits, right? Your limit is basically what people will not engage with. But if people are looking at the weird kind of nihilistic jokes you're making about something serious and engaging with them, that's a success for you, if that's something you're looking for. So how we share information is through a short video like Trump, walking off the stage or, ducking from the bullet, and the photos like that one, iconic photo that now we've all probably seen 2,000 times of, the flag waving behind him and the blood in the ear and the Secret Service. All of these were just so shareable, and, it's mimetic. It's something that's like quasi-viral, something that we just feel like we have to share. And so I just found that all very, these are how we process these momentous events, through these really like tiny pieces of content that can kind of gain lives of their own.
There's also this element that you alluded to where there is a certain kind of engagement farming, especially on X, that, well, I don't know, seems to incentivize this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So in the past, if you were a conspiracy theorist or just a liar and you wanted people to follow you because that makes you happy, you had all kinds of ways to get people to look at your content. And, you would reply to other people, you would abuse the hashtags, you would, But now it's at a point where not only do you want to do that to gain followers, but if you go on X, you can get paid for your engagement, right? Your audience. Because a diminishing number of people were going on to X, Elon Musk basically promised that you could be compensated based off of your engagement, based off of like how many people were looking at your posts and how many people were retweeting them and following you. So now there's a tangible reward system for getting engagement by any means. And so, of course, people are trying to look at news events like this and see this as like a gold mine. Like I can start lying to people and get paid for this. And so you definitely saw, I mean, there's always been that energy around sharing bad content after a news event, just because like this is where the eyeballs are and the attention are. But all of that energy has been multiplied now that there's like a tangible reward on the other side of it.
I spent a lot of time in the past week thinking about the Zapruder film from the Kennedy assassination and thinking about how rare it was in 1963 for someone to be filming an event like this. Now, everyone is filming all the time. And I guess I wonder how conspiracy theories have changed as all of our abilities to participate in history and witness history have changed. Because conspiracies, again, back to the Kennedy assassination, have been around for a long time and far beyond that. But I wonder what's different now that we can all be Abraham Zapruder.
I remember years ago, there was this like marginal idea that conspiracy theories would go away once we were all recording and sharing our lives all the time. If we all had, basically infinite information, what could we really theorize about, right? We'd have so much information at our fingertips. If there was a shooting like the JFK shooting, we'd have so many angles. We'd have such high quality. There would be no questions. And obviously we know that's like totally ridiculous, right? Because there are never enough pieces of video, never enough angles to satisfy every question that arises from something like this. And if anything, the more angles, the more people who saw it, the more tweets about it, they create their own questions. And it's not like everybody who's thinking about this event is seeing every angle. You're seeing a really thin number of perspectives on the same issue. And you're choosing the ones that you're choosing to believe. I mean, you're basically self-selecting at times and I think, with conspiracy theories, it's not just loony people who buy into conspiracy theories, right? Like, I think that's important to realize. Like, it's not just like there's, a science fact-based believers in the truth on one side and conspiracy kooks on the other. Like, we all kind of buy into those sometimes because the truth is hard. Like, it's hard to understand what the reality is. Sadly, we're going to have more instances like this. Maybe not, assassination attempts like this level, but we're going to have big events where something really shocking and horrifying is going to happen. We're all going to be trying to process it. And we're just not going to have that mutual understanding and that common ground around this to be able to really process this together, because we're all going to kind of come at it with, in this troubled information environment, applying our own biases to it and come out with it maybe more confused than we started.
Drew Harwell, I appreciate your reporting and you taking the time today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Drew Harwell is a technology reporter for The Washington Post. And that is it for our show today. What Next TBD is produced by Evan Campbell, Patrick Fort, and Shayna Roth. Our show is edited by Paige Osborne. Alicia Montgomery is vice president of audio for Slate. And TBD is part of the larger What Next family. And if you like what you listened to today, I have a request for you. Join Slate Plus. It's the single best way to support our work. Just head on over to slate.com/whatnextplus to sign up. All right, we'll be back next week with more episodes. I'm Lizzie O'Leary. Thanks for listening.
Okay, you say, I want some breakfast. Your so-called boyfriend says, we got eggs in the fridge. Obviously, when you say breakfast, you mean McDonald's. definitely a side-eye situation.
Bring home the bacon, steak patty, or others with a BOGO for $1 breakfast. Only in the app. Limited time only at participating McDonald's. Valid once a day. Must opt into rewards. Visit McD app for details.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.